So, ladies and gentlemen, what have I told you? A top 5 goalie of the NHL of the 1980s and 90s who won 3 Stanley Cups, helped 4 franchises stay and be at the top echelon in hockey, and played for Team Canada Olympics, but he wasn't in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Who? And you're saying to yourself, who is this person, Jeffrey? Well, this is where the argument's going to start. Andy Moog is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and that's a disgrace. What he did in Edmonton, with Boston, with the Stars, and he's 1 year in Montreal, he drew so much interest. And just for being the Hab Killer, as he's called, he should be in. Now, drafted in the 7th round, 132nd overall in the 1980 draft, 132nd overall, a steal. The native of Penticton, you make good players there. Last played for Billings of the WHL before being drafted. He played with Kamloops of the BCJHL and the WCHL before moving on to Penticton of the BCHL. 5'8", did he say 165? He was like 160, 155. He had a rough goals against average season, 78 with Penticton, 19 and 19 with a 5'11. But with Billings in 79, he went 13, 5 and 4. And 1980 went 23, 14 and 1. He was a WHL All-Star second team in 1980 and a shutout. He was drafted by Edmonton. They were looking at Ron Lowe and Grant Fuhr at one point. But on December 23rd, 1980, he got his first games in LA, and the rest is history. Now, he wore the magic number 35, probably in tribute to the great Tony Esposito. Now, he played in the NHL again for the Oilers, the Bruins, the Stars, and Montreal, and for Team Canada 88 with Sean Burke. Now, he won 3 championships and earned the William M. Jennings Trophy, not in Edmonton, but in Boston in 1990 for the fewest total goals against in the season. Of course, he played Edmonton in the finals only to lose. Now, after hockey, he spent the 2010 season as an AC for the Stars, but only lasted 1 year. Now, Moog's parents are Shirley and Don Moog. Initially, he was called Moog. We were mispronouncing his name early on. The latter was an amateur goalie who played for the Penticton V's when he won the 55 World Hockey Championships. After playing minor hockey in Penticton, he advanced to the junior ranks again, first in the BCJHL and on to the Billings Bighorns of the WHL, where again he was considered one of the top talent. Moog's greatness between the pipes caught the eye of the NHL's Edmonton Oilers, who made Moog their 6th pick. Well, technically it was 7th, but we'll say 6 for the sake of argument here. Now, Moog was drafted again by the Oilers in 80 and spent most of his first season in the minors until injuries to goalies Ron Lowe and Eddie Mio forced him to action late in the season. That year, he was spectacular in a 3-round first-round sweep of the Canadiens, where Gretzky put 70 in his back pocket, and Curry and Messi and all the young Oilers won twice in Montreal and wrapped it up at the Northlands. The following year, Moog was expected to share goalie duties with Lowe, but their big prospect, a 19-year-old Grant Fuhr, surprisingly made the team straight out of training camp. Moog was once again relegated to the minors, appearing in only 8 NHL games that season. However, in '83, Oilers GM and coach Glenn Sader decided to go with a young duo of Moog and Fuhr and traded Lowe. Moog was given the starting job in the playoffs and helped lead the Oilers to the first Stanley Cup Finals, losing to the Islanders in 4 straight. Now, the next year, Sader chose to go with Fuhr in the '84 playoffs. Fuhr was injured in the Stanley Cup Finals in a rematch against the Islanders, and Moog stepped in and wrapped up the last victories to lead the Oilers to their first cup. Now, Fuhr continued to be the number 1 goalie for the subsequent seasons, and Moog got a little bit pissed off. After demanding a trade, he walked out in the Oilers in '87 to play for Team Canada at the Calgary Olympics. There, Moog and Sean Burke played 4 games each, with Canada finishing a rough 4th. Glenn Sader offered to trade Moog to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Steve Jeanette and a first-round draft pick, but Penguins owner Eddie DeBartolo Sr. told his GM Eddie Johnson that he could not trade a first-round draft pick, which kind of begs the question, Once he got Barrasso, yes, but would he win a cup with Moog, with Lemieux and everybody else? Of course. Now, at the trade deadline of 88, he was sent to the Bruins for Bill Ranford, of all people, shortly after the 88 Winter Olympics. The Bruins implemented a goalie tandem with Moog and Lemelin sharing starting duties. Lemelin was goal for most of the action during the team's run to the Stanley Cup in 88, as Boston was swept by the Oilers in 4 straight. Now, Edmonton's Ford Cup was their Ford Cup title in 5 years. Moog was in goal for the series final game, despite Lemelin initially starting in net during the 1990 playoffs. After the Bruins won the President's Trophy for having the best regular season record in the NHL, Moog eventually took over the starting position. After a few games and performing heroics, Moog's team went all the way to the 1980 Stanley Cup final, again losing to Edmonton. Now, highlighted for Moog in the 90 NHL playoffs, with Hartford leading 2-1 and leading Game 4 5-2, entering the third, Moog replaced Lemelin goal and shut out the Oilers for the remainder of the game. The Bruins rallied for a comeback by scoring 4 goals in the third. In the 1990 Stanley Cup Finals, the Bruins lost in 5 games to Moog's old team, who were back stopped by Ranford. Now, the term Hab Killer comes from this. In both the 91 and 92 Stanley Cup playoffs, besides what he did to them in 81, the Bruins defeated the Habs in the second round to make it the Prince of Wales Finals. Moog soon gained a reputation as the Bruins' biggest Hab Killer besides Cam Neely, shutting out the Habs as part of a sweep in the 92 postseason. However, the Bruins lost both series to the Penguins, who were led by Mario Lemieux in the next rounds. In 91, Boston took the first 2 rounds of the series, but Pittsburgh went on to win 4 straight and the best of 7, followed by a Penguins win of the Stanley Cup. Again in 92, Boston was no match for Pittsburgh and was swept in 4 during the conference finals. Now, in 93, Moog did not start well, partly because of a poor relationship with Brian Sutter and partly because of death of his father in January 93. After the rough start, things improved and Moog backstopped his team to the Habs division title and the second best record overall behind the Penguins. Moog finished the season strong as it was the runner-up for the Williams-Jennings Trophy. Now, the 93 playoffs, however, was a disaster. They were unexpectedly swept by the Sabres, 3-4 losses coming in overtime, and in the final game of the series, he gave up the overtime goal to the Sabres' great Brad May. As of 2019, he ranks 3rd on the Bruins' list of playoff wins by a goalie with 36, behind Tuukka Rask at 50, and Cheevers, who has 53. During the middle of later years of his career, he served as VP of the NHLPA. This position made him a spokesperson for the players, both through the 92 NHL player strike and the 95 lockout. Andy Moog's Bruins mask was also voted one of the scariest goalies masks by the Hockey News. Now, he was eventually traded to the Minnesota North Stars, who were relocated to Dallas as the Dallas Stars for 94. He led them to a winning record to return the Stars to the playoffs, where he reached the second round. In the 97 NHL season, Moog helped Dallas to a Central Division title, but they were upset in the first round in 7 games by the underdog Oilers. During his time with the Stars, he often shared the workload with Darcy Wakaluk and later Artis Urbe. Now, with the Stars bringing in Ed Belfour, he signed as a free agent with the Habs in 98. While Moog had helped eliminate Montreal for the playoffs 4 times, once with the Oilers and 3 with the Bruins, he led the Habs in their first playoff series win since 93. In the summer of 98, he was offered a contract to play with the Vancouver Canucks, but chose to retire and instead became the team's goalie coach. Now, he was selected to play in the NHL All-Star Game 4 times in his career, twice with the Oilers 85 and 86, and one each with the Bruins 91 and Stars 97. In his 2 All-Star appearances as an Oiler, both he and Fuhrer were selected to the squad. Now, on August 19, 2005, Team Canada appointed Moog as goalie consultant for the 2006 Winter Olympics team. On December 12, 2009, he was named AC of the Dallas Stars. His contract expired Canada Day 2010, but was not offered an extension. Now, currently, Moog works as an on-air analyst for Fox Sports Out West during Dallas Stars games. Very good announcer, by the way. Now, in the early 1990s, his charity endeavors included him starting the Moog and Friends Hospice in Penticton, servicing citizens in end-of-life care in the greater Penticton region. Now, awards and achievements: WHL second All-Star team in 1980, Stanley Cup with Edmonton 84-85, 85 also the All-Star game, '86 All-Star Game, '87 Stanley Cup in Edmonton, 1990 William Elm Jennings Trophy with Reginald Lamblin, '91 NHL All-Star Game, and of course '97 as well. 2 finals appearances with Boston. Now Moog is the second fastest goalie to reach a 300 win mark, doing so in his 543rd game. He is second only to Jacques Plante at 526. He was the 5th goalie to attain 360 and 370 wins. Moog is also the highest winning percentage of any goalie not in the Hockey Hall of Fame, tied with someone else who should be in there. Of course, the great Chris Osgood. Now, as it stands in 2022, Moog, Charlie Huddy, and a few more, some of them former Montreal Canadiens, need to get in. Now, stats don't tell the whole story, but here we go. 713 games played, 372, 209, 88 shutouts, 40,000 minutes played, 2,097 goals against, 88 ties and overtime losses, 28 shutouts, 3.13 average. In the playoffs, 68 and 57, 7,500 minutes played, 4 shutouts. Team Canada, of course, in '88, undefeated, 4-0 with 9 goals against. Now, he belongs to the list of NHL goalies with 300 wins, and again, needs to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, for what he's done for Team Canada, what he's done for the teams he's played for, how he helped reestablish the Montreal franchise, legitimated the Dallas franchise, how he stabilized the Boston franchise, made him a top 4 team in the late 80s, early 90s, what he did in Edmonton to give Grand Fuhrer and these other teammates a chance to hit their heights. The Fuhrer-Moog combination should have been more years, but Grand Fuhrer had the more, 65 game a year pace. But Andy Moog, to me, is the best 5'8" goalie of the modern era. Can you think, ladies and gentlemen, 5'8" in the modern era, playing against Mario Lemieux, playing against the Islanders, playing against the Oilers, the great offenses that were there at the time, all the snipers, ladies and gentlemen, amazing. So Andy Moog should have been in the Hall of Fame by now. He probably will be, and I would bet in 2023, and hopefully by 24, the people would smarten up and put him and Huddy in, because again, Messier, Curry, Gretzky, Coffey, Moog, and Fuhrer. Moog's not in. Super 6 is like the triplets with Dallas. That was the 6 players. Moog and Fuhrer, Messier, Gretzky, Curry, and Coffey. And not having me in there, pretty freaky. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to share. And as we like to say in Northern New Brunswick, keep your stick in the ice. Have a good day. Bye.